Hello, this is Craig Brelsford with Red Chip Companies. Thank you for joining today's event with Nutriband, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker NTRB. With us today, we have Gareth Sheridan, Chief Executive Officer, and Sergey Melnik, President and Chairman of Nutriband. We will begin with a brief presentation in a moment, and then we will answer your questions. Users may submit a question at any time by using the Q&A tool at the bottom of the Zoom window. Before we begin, please allow me to read the Safe Harbor Statement. This call may contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. All statements pertaining to future financial and/or operating results, along with other statements about the future expectations, beliefs, goals, plans, or prospects expressed by management, constitute forward-looking statements. Any statements that are not historical fact should also be considered forward-looking statements. Of course, forward-looking statements involve risks and uncertainties. I now turn the webinar over to the Nutriband team. Gentlemen, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll run through the presentation on the company. I know many people on the call are probably somewhat familiar with us today, and we might have some new people joining also. The core focus of the presentation is going to be surrounding the past 6 months and next 6 months as we near our FDA submission for approval with AVERSA. But for anybody new, a brief overview of the company. We are a pharmaceutical company specifically focused on transdermal technology. Transdermal essentially just means delivery through the skin. So think nicotine patches. These are the types of products that we're focused on, albeit in the pharmaceutical prescription space. We listed on the NASDAQ in October of 2021. Since then, we've been very heavily focused on developing our AVERSA technology, which is our key platform technology, with a goal of significantly improving the safety profile of easily abused drugs. So drugs such as opiates, methylphenidate derivatives, and so on. A simple kind of overview of the company structure itself, you can see on the screen here. We are a little bit different to earlier stage pharmaceutical companies in the sense that we are very focused on also generating revenues to keep our burn to a minimum, which keeps us in a position where we have to keep our dilutive raises also to a minimum, which has been evident since our NASDAQ listing. We do have a fully owned subsidiary called 4P Therapeutics, which is a clinical research facility, and Pocono Pharmaceutical, which is a contract manufacturer that is also a 100% owned subsidiary. AI Tape is a brand of products that we manufacture at Pocono, and we sell primarily online and through Amazon, but we also white label through Pocono with brands such as KT Tape and Reebok. But again, the core focus of the presentation is on AVERSA. This is our near-term major product candidate that we are seeking FDA approval for. AVERSA is a platform technology that's applicable to virtually any patch on the market today, with the goal of making that patch safer. The clear candidate for this product is the opiate space, and we are targeting fentanyl as product number one, working our way down the opiate family with a goal of improving that safety profile. So fentanyl, AVERSA fentanyl is product number one. AVERSA buprenorphine will follow closely after that. Methylphenidate, which is an ADHD drug, will follow closely after that again. These are drugs that have a somewhat bad reputation because they are in the opiate space, but they are a very necessary part of pain management. Over the last number of years, unfortunately, access to these types of drugs has been reduced because of the negative stigma and the risks associated with these drugs. So our goal with AVERSA is to make these drugs very difficult to abuse while also making them accessible to the pain community who have seen their access cut in recent years. The benefit of AVERSA does not end there. AVERSA also prevents accidental exposure to these types of drugs. So we have data that we've conducted with the Poison Control Center, where we've unfortunately seen a number of children that have picked up used fentanyl patches out of the garbage, put them in their mouth, chewed them, and have passed away. And there's been dozens more hospitalizations on top of that again because of the effects of the opiate in these drugs. AVERSA would essentially wipe out the risk of accidental exposure like this. A little bit just how it works. Our model is to take existing drugs and improve upon those drugs using transdermal tech. We don't develop new drugs, we don't develop new molecules. We use transdermal technology to improve upon established FDA-approved drugs. Fentanyl patches, buprenorphine patches, these have all been approved for many years. Very effective when used correctly, however, very easy to abuse as well. And the main routes of abuse tend to be oral or nasal. You'll have somebody who will chew a patch, smoke a patch, make a type of tea out of it. And the goal of AVERSA is to target all these main routes of abuse. So the solution for us was to not overly complicate the fix. Don't over science the fix. Have something that's easy to understand, but is also very effective. And the result was to make the patches taste really, really bad. So we use a combination of two ingredients, denatonium benzoate, which is the most bitter substance on the planet, and capsaicin or red pepper extract. And we coat these on the back of an existing fentanyl patch, buprenorphine patch, methylphenidate patch. This image here will give you an overview of the simplicity of the technology itself, the pink layer being our patented AVERSA technology, which is applicable to the patch on the left, which is the product that is approved by the FDA for sale today. We are patented in all major markets globally, 46 countries in total, very well protected from an IP standpoint. And the patent is quite broad, which makes it difficult for competition to come up and compete with us without infringing on this. The simple approach of AVERSA is what the key is here in terms of our IP protection. For somebody to come up with a competing product, they would most likely have to interfere or change the drug layer. We don't do that, which is very important in understanding the simplicity of the development plan. So we're very well protected and we have a multiple year head start on any competition. But AVERSA in itself and the market opportunity, which I'm sure everybody is very keen to hear. In October of 2021, we listed on the NASDAQ. Within a couple of days after that, we were contacted by a company called Kindeva Drug Delivery. They were interested in adding our AVERSA technology to their FDA-approved fentanyl patch with the goal of taking that then to market. The important thing here was that we were patented in the US. We're adding patents in certain countries and building out our protection internationally. So the opportunity working with somebody like Kindeva and Kindeva working with somebody like us made a lot of sense for both companies. The first thing after we signed our agreement with Kindeva was to hire a company called Health Advances to get a market assessment, an independent market assessment, which will give us an overview of the opportunity as a commercial product, give us an overview of what the major players, such as the insurance companies, hospital groups, and physicians in the space would think of the technology. The key takeaway from this study with Health Advances was that insurance companies would actually pay a 20% premium versus what was on the market at the time because of the improved safety profile. And secondly, we could expect annual revenues with AVERSA fentanyl, product number one, of $200 million a year. Buprenorphine, we did a similar test with, and buprenorphine would be expected to have annual revenues up to $130 million a year. So with products number one and two, we're looking at $330 million annually in current market conditions. Now, this did not take into consideration the fact that the market size was about 75% larger in 2016 and is only reduced because of the negative stigma and the negative focus on the opiate space. The actual pain population who require access to these drugs has not reduced by 75%. So with our AVERSA technology, we're in a position to bridge that gap between adequate prescription rates and adequate pain management, while also making sure these products are very difficult to abuse for people suffering with addiction. Just to give you an idea here, this will give you an idea on the pipeline itself. We have AVERSA fentanyl product number one, buprenorphine product number two, and methylphenidate product number three. The main purpose of this call, I think, is to give a good understanding of how close we are with product number one, AVERSA fentanyl. As we sit here on the call today, we're targeting the first half of 2025 to file for FDA approval. We are a matter of days, most likely, away from filing for a pre-IND meeting, then leading into our IND meeting. and then leading in the first month of next year into our single phase 1 clinical study. Because we don't change or interact the drug layer and we use previously approved products, we are not a typical phase 1, 2, and 3 type development program. This is a singular phase 1 study that has to be done prior to filing your NDA with the FDA. This study is called a human abuse potential study. It is a study that compares the simplicity and ease of abusing our patch versus a generic patch on the market today. And it's done in a controlled room of recreational opioid users, and the results are recorded. You can imagine we're quite confident that our patch will be far more difficult to abuse than the generic patches on the market today. With those results, we can then claim abuse deterrent on the label, and we market this as a branded product and not a generic. So one key point to take away is that this is not transferable for a generic product or a cheaper version. This would be branded, and insurance companies would have to cover this exact product, not a cheaper alternative. This will then be replicated with buprenorphine, methylphenidate, and as we continually add products to the pipeline at the same rate, we hope to see approvals in this pipeline as well. So buprenorphine, we've begun some initial work on already. A lot of the data that we've done with fentanyl is transferable. Much of this work is surrounding the feasibility work and the commercial manufacturing scale-up. So something that we've also been working on with Kindeva in recent months is finalizing all of our third-party vendors, finalizing the makeup of the final commercial product to then use in our single phase 1 clinical trial. So we're very close to the major milestones. We've done the grunt work and the hard work. The feasibility study went perfectly. The commercial scale up has gone quite smoothly. We're nearing the end of that now and moving into the latter stages where it's really packaging this for an NDA submission in the first half of next year. One thing to take away also is that we should have a 6-month expedited review with the FDA. So that is a maximum 6-month review period. It could be shorter given the fact that this is in a space that is a very heavy focus for regulators. It could be sooner than that again. But we fully expect that in the second half of next year, we should see approval for our first AVERSA product and then start working on our strategy to revolutionize the safety profile of easily abused drugs, working our way down the opiate family and then into other spaces as well. I wanted to keep the presentation somewhat concise today and really focus on the near term kind of objectives and milestones that we have coming up, the news flow that we have coming up. Internally within the company, it's a very exciting time. We've done all the initial work. We've done the hard work at this point. We're very excited about the first half of next year, particularly with how the market is looking at opiates now as well and starting to acknowledge and recognize that they're a necessary part of pain management and something that can't be replaced with a Tylenol extra strength, for example. So while many companies in the last couple of years have been distancing themselves from opiates because of the fear and the negative stigma, we've looked at this space as a space that needs to be fixed, not eradicated. And I think we've done a pretty good job to this point working on that. So I'm happy to answer any questions. For our existing shareholders, I think it's a very exciting time in the company's history. For any potential new shareholders on the call today, I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
What is the size of the business of the mosquito patch in the news today?
This is a product that we've been working on for, I'd say, at least a year and a half now to get the necessary approvals to sell. The market size, we had some data on the international market size that it's going to reach in the $9 billion range towards the end of the decade. It's certainly a space that's growing, and it's certainly a space that's being looked at in terms of being a carrier for other diseases as well. So it's something that we want to target as a preventative style patch. It would be difficult to say an exact number on what we expect to see in revenues, but we are looking at a national rollout in Costa Rica to trial this product and get it on the market and then expand further into South America. So we'll have better details and data in the coming, let's say, 2 quarters on the revenue stream that we're seeing from that. But we're confident that it's going to be strong enough to support our development program with AVERSA that we're in a position where we're going to hit major milestones without having to do any dilutive raises.
If the deterrent is taste with fentanyl, I'm not sure if that would stop the result if the person tasted it. Wouldn't they still intake a portion of the chemical which would still be harmful?
If you wear the fentanyl patch as you're indicated to treat pain, the fentanyl is slowly drip fed into the body at a rate slow enough that it does not get the user high. It is simply at a rate to treat the chronic pain symptoms. So the main routes of abuse to get high off these types of products have to hit the bloodstream rather quickly. So that's why you have people chew the patches, smoke the patches, make a type of tea out of it because it hits the bloodstream much quicker in a higher quantity and higher dose. So with our technology using AVERSA, it's very difficult to go outside the realm of how the product is supposed to be used, in which case it reduces the risk of overdose or misuse. And these products have been used for years now, sensibly and unfortunately unsensibly.
Since you announced the buyback, how many shares have you bought back?
I can take this one.
Yeah.
This is going to be in the filings, all the information.
Congratulations on receiving a China patent notice of allowance for your AVERSA, abuse-deterrent transdermal technology. How huge is this achievement, and are there any other countries you are looking to secure patents in the near term?
Yeah, China has been a really strong addition to the patent portfolio. Again, we're patented now in 46 countries. I think we're very well protected in all major markets. The US patent obviously being our key strength, which makes up about half of the global market size. But China is a territory that is starting to see a lot of issues with these types of products, and pharmaceutical companies within China are very aggressively looking for technologies like ours. And without getting into details that we can't and so on, we are certainly on the radar and having those type of relationship discussions internationally while we maintain our focus on the US market internally.
Can you give us an update on your sales of the tape?
Of the tapes that were the third-party tapes. So we're manufacturing primarily for KT Tape, which is the world's largest kinesiology tape brand. They are in 40,000 North American stores. And then we're also manufacturing under a license with FFL, who have the license for Reebok. So our sales are started to pick up drastically this year. KT has acknowledged to us that it is one of their most successful launches in recent years. In terms of a dollar amount, we're probably going to be up on next year, taking into consideration that we had penetration pricing at the beginning of the year while we ramped up production. So I think this is a product category that we could see very significant revenues from, particularly next year. And the trends from this year will be, strong to show that. I think we should be hopefully in the $4 million range this year with our Pocono subsidiary.
Why were your sales down last quarter?
Again, this is primarily down to the fact that we've been building the relationships with two major players, Reebok and KT. So we've been using penetration pricing. We've been diverting equipment use towards making sure we hit targets with them in terms of quantity and making sure that we have a backload of inventory working with them also, which is required. So that's partially due to that. And then different payment terms that come with larger vendors that, unfortunately, one quarter can be down, our next quarter after that could be 3 times up. It's just the payment terms associated with larger customers.
Also, we have to bear in mind that we have invested a significant amount of money in the new equipment to make the production faster and increase the capability of our factories. And some of that equipment arrived in the second quarter. It took a little bit of time to place it in, but the traction is going to be incredible. I mean, we expect to really increase the sales right after that because the orders are coming in. It was just our capacity that we were afraid that we're not going to be able to match. And at this point, I think we're all squared away there.
What is your target market cap over the next 12 months? It is sitting at just under $80 million right now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're the specialists right now watching this presentation. I mean, they have to multiply, you know, the potential revenues, the EBITDA, and the earnings per share by the multiple in the industry. That is around what, anywhere from 80 to 300. So we expect to have the product on the market by the fourth quarter next year, and that's about 12 months from now. Where the market cap is going to be, it's a question. I mean, once we file for pre-IND, once we file for FDA, I mean, people are getting more excited. We feel that we've been unjustly, you know, kept at this price. However, if you compare to any other IPO from 2021 in our space, in our industry, we're actually significantly overperforming everybody. We're actually in the green. And if you add the price of the stock plus the price of the warrant, I mean, we're significantly up because our IPO was at 5.25 per unit on October 1st, 2021. And we are right now at $7 plus, I don't know, 150. How much the warrants will be? About 850 right now. So even then, we're not happy with the stock performance. But again, I mean, there are forces at work here that we cannot control. You know, some of the press releases that we don't believe it was so important, like, for example, getting the patent in South Korea. The algorithm of the stock went from $3 to 12 on 140 million shares. And then we have a patent in China that was received 2 weeks ago, and it traded zero. So, I mean, go figure how the market reacts to that. However, the Chinese patent, I mean, I don't know why the market is overlooking that, because we're right now in talks with one of, I think, 3 or 4 largest productions on fentanyl in China, and they're owned by the government. I mean, those are not private enterprises, and the potential over there is absolutely incredible. It's tremendous. So overlooking that, I mean, I think it's a big mistake. But again, I mean, what do I know? I mean, the people who are investing are the ones who are making the decisions. So we'll see. But we believe that the company at these levels is extremely undervalued. I mean, that's a personal opinion.
Where are you getting your fentanyl from for the patch, of course?
When the patch is ready to market commercially, it'll be sourced and manufactured by Kindeva Drug Delivery, who have been in the space for over a decade now. So we will never, as a company, come in contact or touch the opiate or the fentanyl itself. We leave that to the experts. They will be the contract manufacturer for this product. We will be the marketer within the US, and then license and partnerships internationally. So it is sourced very securely. All DEA licenses in place, all inspections with the DEA are adequate. Kindeva is formerly 3M Drug Delivery, for anybody who's unfamiliar. So they're very well versed in this type of arena.
All right. I'm not seeing any questions in the queue at this time, and we did set the goal of wrapping up at 20 till today on a short webinar. Gentlemen, if you just want to add anything, perhaps a final word on the essential value proposition. Why should anyone be interested in Nutriband right now?
I think the main thing is to reiterate Sergey's point that, you know, as a company, we believe we're certainly undervalued at this level. You know, obviously I'm CEO, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to be biased, but if you look at the fundamentals of the company, if you look at the targets that we've hit since our IPO, we haven't missed a single target. We don't plan on changing that going forward. And right now we're on the cusp of not only filing for an FDA approval, but completely revolutionizing and potentially cannibalizing a space that a lot of people have turned away from because of the fear associated with it, essentially. So we're in a position where we could be the safest player across the board in terms of opiate use and beyond opiates as well. So it's a really exciting time for the company. I mean, I think shareholders that may have been with us for the last year or so are starting to hopefully feel that buzz as well, given the performance of the stock this year. We're certainly not at a point where we're happy, and you know, we'll continue on, and you can rest assured that the company and the management is fully focused on making sure we hit these targets with AVERSA.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing here. Just bear in mind that once we come on the market with AVERSA, we're going to be the only one for the next 15 years. And it's going to be very, very difficult for the doctors to justify, even if the FDA does not make it mandatory, to justify prescribing a generic patch where is as easy to get high from it just as chewing it or making tea out of it, or AVERSA, or you have to be a pretty much a PhD in chemistry to be able to break into our design and device. So that's one thing. And second, just see how this company has been run since before it went public and when it was public. I mean, we are extremely low on cost, on burn, extremely low. I mean, when we saw after the 2021 that we're not going to be able to go to the market and raise money at the comfortable prices because we're being controlled, we cut the costs across the board. First thing went salaries, about half, I mean, 50% across the board. So it was a big movement that we made that saved us about $600,000 a year that made possible for us not to go back to the market. And we never went. The only money we raised ever, I mean, was from our close shareholders. And we don't plan to go back to the bankers. We don't plan to go back to dilute the shareholders. So this is our main value that we have. And also bear in mind that until today, none of the insiders have sold one share since 2016 when the company was founded. And the stock was as high as $40 in pre-IPO. So that just tells you, I mean, where we see the value in the company, where we think the company is going.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Participants, for more information about Nutriband, reach us at 1-800-RED-CHIP. That's 1-800-733-2447. Or email us at ntrb@redchip.com. Please visit RedChip's investor information page for Nutriband. It's ntrbinfo.com. There you can view and download the investor presentation and fact sheet and sign up for news alerts on Nutriband. Please be sure to watch Small Stocks, Big Money, RedChip's program featuring exciting small cap companies every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Bloomberg, USA. Join RedChip's forthcoming webinars, Phoenix Motor on Monday, October 21st, Gorilla Technology Group on Thursday, October 24th, and Lobo EV on Monday, October 28th. All webinars start at 4:15 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Register for those events and for all RedChip webinars at redchip.com/events, where you can also view an archived version of today's webinar. Thanks again to our many participants today, and thank you very much, Gareth and Sergey.